Hello, hello! Welcome to Club Chrisette. I'm your host, Chrisette, and welcome back to A Light in the Dark. So when we last left off, it sounded like we're gonna be set free. It sounds like our father, finally made some arrangements, and we will be set free. It sounds like he's gonna pay up, but we'll see. We'll see if that's true or not. Who knows? Maybe he'll be stupid and will literally get stabbed in the back. But not by him, of course. Let's see what comes out of this day. Amidst the fuzziness, I had a dream. It seemed to be an afternoon after school. My mother hugged me so tight it made my arms uncomfortable. She kept crying and apologizing, wetting my face with endless teardrops. Why was she crying? I blankly looked up at my emotionally collapsed mother. Even the supposedly familiar face appeared unfamiliar at that moment. Even though she was the one who betrayed father. Even though she was the one who abandoned us. Why did she look so sad? I couldn't ask the simple question from my heart, yet a voice answered nonetheless. That's how the adult world works. That was a depressed, yet still young voice. Within the darkness, I realized that none other than my own voice. So another question I have from last time is, who is Mr. Ken? Is our last name Ken? Because the girl mentioned a dude named Mr. Ken. I woke up from the dream in shock with the realization that my face was all wet. I couldn't recall the details of the dream itself, just the sense of bitterness weighing on my chest, rendering me breathless. There were a few spots of white light from outside on the ground. It was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat and the wind from the window. It was probably 4 or 5 a.m. Oh my god, it gets that bright that early? How depressing. I would never be able to sleep in. I must have woken up early because I slept way too early the day before. I sat up to stretch my body, with the joints making clear cracking sounds. The last bit of my dream vanished within the morning light. I noticed the girl was leaning against the door with the blanket. With her knife next to her body, she had clearly fallen into a deep sleep. Worrying I might escape, she didn't even want to sleep in an actual bed. She had a slender body, clearly due to malnutrition, and the unkempt shoulder-length hair that was tangled in multiple places. Ooh. Let me try that again. Sorry, are you on? She had a slender body, clearly due to the malnutrition, and the unkempt shoulder-length hair that was tangled in multiple places. Her long eyebrows wrinkled together, as though she couldn't find peace even in the dream. Her long hair didn't seem very healthy, and even the color was not constant. One probably couldn't care less about their hair when eating for the night alone was an uncertainty. She could be a beauty if she cleaned herself up and maybe put on some makeup. Carefully observing her asleep face, I almost forgot she was the kidnapper. Having a totally different family might have led to a totally different life for her. This world is not fair. I murmured what she had said and wondered what emotion did she say that line with. Hopelessness toward the society? Self-pity? Rage against the rich? I decided to stop thinking about it and focused on figuring out what to do. We should rest. As much as there was no point to risk this much. They might just let me go after tonight. Hearing her voice, I was glad I didn't try anything crazy. I finally managed to let her drop her guard on me. I just needed to be patient and wait for the opportunity. Good morning. What are you doing? She tiredly yawned and looked at me unpleasantly. Wait for breakfast. She clearly didn't buy it and walked up to me with the knife. She checked if the rope was loose. You're free once your dad pays today. No funny business. I realized my voice for her that I picked initially in the first video isn't the same as the voice I've been using in all the other videos. Alright. The voice I initially gave her was more like, better keep your mouth shut and say nothing. Got it? But I mean, that was when I didn't know who she was or have any sense of her personality. You'll never make friends if you were this bossy, you know? I responded jokingly, but she didn't seem to appreciate it. She stared at me briefly and decided to say nothing more. She then walked to the bathroom to clean up. Unlikely as it might be, but if they were going to pay the ransom, they would let me go without risking anything. The real problem would be if it was just to buy time. I wasn't sure what they would do if pushed it forward. Am I reading that right? I think so. Either I escaped on my own or waited for the police's rescue. Well, I would worry about that after tonight. So what now? Let's chat. Older girl. Where's the younger girl? Why do you owe so much money? We already know you look really tired. You look pretty tired. None of your business. She replied sourly, yet the thick dark circles under her eyes said it all. Guarding me around the clock, plus the heavy mental stress, had taken quite a toll on her body. Get some rest if you're not feeling well. I don't know, that's what I would say, even if I was in that sort of situation. Get some rest if you aren't feeling well. That was probably the wrong answer. Oh, how nice of you. Save your breath if you just want me to drop my guard. I can't even move tied up like this. Besides, I'll be out of here if you get the money today. I'm not so dumb to risk my own life. Psst, you better remember that. She grunted and relaxed herself a little next to the wall. So what now? Let's observe. Is there anything new? I know one of the things we have to do is find something sharp. I was gonna say, what about this tile that's clearly here on the floor? Like, that would be excellent. The toilet is ink green. I don't know why they picked this strange color. It's pointless to look at it other than to make one not want to stay in here. How would we find something sharp, though? Oh, can we ask about the little... No, we can't. Okay, dang. I'm not sure what brand it is, but the smell is not as bad as I thought after inhaling it for a while. They're in a blue package. What brand are they? I should try to ask about it. It might be a clue to identifying who she is. What is the brand of the cigarette you smoke? Why? You want to try it out? Nah, I'm fine. Then why ask? I just found it smells special. She figured telling me wouldn't matter much, so she answered easily. Light 7. My dad only smokes these. Your dad? He hit the road a long time ago. A shitty man who doesn't take care of his family. I would kill him if I ever meet him. Seeing how angry she got, I found something strange. Wasn't it just contradictory to hate someone yet smoke the same brand of cigarette? I feel like I should have done more observing. Maybe I would have learned more. She couldn't seem to calm down on the big day. Pacing around the room, she kept checking her phone screen. As a sound from outside the door. Judging from the girl's shocked reaction, I wasn't imagining it. Who could that be? There were questions in my mind, but I was pressed against the wall before I could even open my mouth. The girl covered my mouth in panic and raised the knife against my neck. The blade was so close I wouldn't dare move an inch. Don't move. I can't. Shut up! Not able to stop from... Oh my god, I just realized how upset her face is. I don't think we've seen her face this upset previously. No, maybe we have. I don't know. I can't recall at this moment. That's kind of sad. Not able to stop the trembling in her voice, she put more force into her hand. The sharp end would stab into my throat with a simple push. It didn't appear to be an accomplice, since it didn't appear there were any... It didn't appear to be an accomplice, since it didn't appear to be any other residents. One wouldn't expect a sudden visit. Oh no, we have seen her face that angry in previous videos. It's just been a while. The police, maybe? They might be able to find me through surveillance camera or phone signal, but they could find us this quickly after only a few days. Following the train of thoughts, the steps got closer. Then it stopped right before the door. Please be the other girl. There was no hesitation. Straight to the destination. In other words, they knew there was someone here. As though waiting for something, there was no sound outside the door. No one seemed to want to break this silence. Her tense hand trembled a little. I could see the sweat dripping down her cheek. Big sis? The little girl's voice came through the door. She breathed out heavily and dropped her arms as though exhausted. She looks exhausted. She looks absolutely pitiful in this particular shot. She opened the door to greet the little girl who was carrying a bag and looked at her big sis innocently. What are you doing? Do you know how dangerous it is? If you didn't make a sound, I might have attacked you. Sorry. It was rare to see her getting mad at the little girl, who lowered her head apologetically. Though through the door, I could see the view of the stairs. The red armrest and gray wall were a common sight of an old apartment. Whatever, as long as it's not the cop. Wait, didn't I tell you to not come? What happened? Who asked you to come here? She raised her head suddenly and started to shake the... Oh my god, okay, I can't even read right now. Like, you think I'd get better at this, but I never do. She raised her head suddenly and started to shake the little girl's shoulder with a nervous expression. No one? Then why did you? I just wanted to be with Big Sis. She looks so unimpressed, like, god damn it. Her direct response rendered the girl speechless, who became lost in thought while rubbing the little girl's head. The little girl's motives were simple. She just wanted to be with her big sis. But her sister had more to consider. How to avoid police pursuit, what to do after getting the money. It was difficult, as it was to escape her own, let alone taking care of the little girl. Why did you bring so many things? Deciding to let it go, she took the plastic bag. Miss Wang asked me to bring them over. She said they were leftover. She knows. I don't know. She just said you should take care of yourself and let her know if you need help. Hmm. She seemed to lose her usual cool with a lowered head depressingly.
Big sis?
Hmm.
Miss Wang seems worried about you.
Looking at the hesitating little girl, oh yeah. Man, we're seeing a lot of different expressions, I feel, this episode. Like, I think we are at least. Looking at the hesitating little girl, she bit her lips and finally spoke after a while. Don't worry, it'll all be over soon. She managed to smile while rubbing the little girl's hair. Noticing the name that was brought up, who was this Miss Wang they were talking about? Let's ask. We might get a big ass kick, though. Who is Miss Wang? Since it was the first time they brought up someone else, I decided to ask when I had the chance.
She is the big sis.
Ha! Suddenly, a bread was thrown at me. It hit me right in the face before I could react. Thank goodness it was just scallion bread. I would be in trouble if it was a baguette. Be quiet and don't try to trick her. You two, Ling, don't tell him anything. Ling? Eiling? I repeated the name quietly. The girl was still scolding her sister, not paying attention to what she just revealed. If they shared the same last name, then her full name should be Eiling Hyung? The name stuck out to me. It almost felt familiar in a way. So, do we somehow know the kidnapper or their sister? Whatever, it might be for the best. She passed the knife to the little girl and started to leave the room with the cell phone impatiently. Keep an eye on him. I'm going to give a call and find out what's going on. If they don't pick up the phone, she impatiently mumbled and was about to step out of the room. Calling whom? What part of shut up don't you understand? She coldly stared at me. It's none of your business, got it? She's probably going to call Miss Wang or our dad, one or the other. Just eat the bread if you're hungry. There's also enough water. I'll be back soon, so don't you think about untying yourself. Hey, what if there is a fire? Then you'll be burned to death. I don't care as long as she escapes. Fighting for my privilege only got me a merciless look, with the little girl quietly nodding on the side. I will remind you again, no funny business. What else can I do? Barbecue? She wanted to say something while staring at me, but eventually just grunted and left. The door closed, and there was only me and the little girl. We would learn if the ransom really arrived tonight or not. They would keep a closer eye on me if the negotiation continued. If I wanted to run, now would be the best chance. The little girl had less strength than her sister, nor was as on guard of me as she used to. All these choices were like gambling. You never knew what your next card would be. The only thing that mattered was that you only had one chance to bid. So what now? Let's chat. That Miss Wang you mentioned. Let's try it. That Miss Wang you mentioned. She's about to talk before immediately shutting her mouth, still remembering her big sis's words. I had to find another way to make her disclose it. She's your family, right? She's your family, isn't she? If she was the culprit, she wouldn't have asked her to rest, nor brought them food.
Family.
She mumbled my words, but finally nodded affirmingly.
If Miss Wang didn't help us, we wouldn't even have a place to live or people hiring us. Outside of Big Sis, Miss Wang is the only one helping us.
Deep in her memory, she quietly recalled with her lowered head. I remember she said the bread were leftovers, which means they were either from a bakery or from a shopping mall. If it was from a shopping mall, then they would probably also have bentos and drinks. In other words, they used to work in a bakery. So what now? The paper cranes. What are you doing there? Colored paper Colored paper and origami cranes are scattered on the ground. All these clean folding lines from the same hands of the young girl. Oh, we're not going to ask about it? That's kind of dumb. Hmm. I tried to check the girl's notebook, but she snatched it away from me. It seemed like I can't read it without her permission. Oh, so you like cake? I borrowed the dessert magazine from her. I could tell her preferences from all the markings on it.
Yes!
She nodded eagerly. Her serious reaction was rather amusing.
I like fluffy cake. Chocolate is the best, but strawberry is fine too.
Though one of the cakes you picked aren't really cheap. Every one of them costs at least a few hundred Taiwan dollars. I still don't know what Taiwan currency is. The stores she marked looked pretty fancy. There were even a few famous ones that accepted only reservations. Even I admired these rich ladies' power of consumption. Were they eating a slice of cake? Or some gold foil and maybe pearl powder? From millions in debt to luxurious afternoon tea, that sort of distance was one you couldn't close up in a lifetime.
Even if just once, I want to try them with Big Sis.
Her quiet words broke my train of thought. She stood still and hung her head sadly. Moved by the sadness in her voice, I almost forgot my own conundrum. Some people live a luxurious life, yet can't find fulfillment or purpose, while others only wish to be able to have an afternoon tea with their family just once. The same society, but different lives. Some people's dreams are merely trivial daily occurrences for others. When I raised my head, the girl was already back to folding paper. I didn't get to ask her about the cranes. It was the 5th day of my kidnapped life. I started to get really tired of the unchanged room. Whether it was the afternoon sunlight, the reflection in the window, or the air mixed with cigarette and mold smell, that's what I meant. It didn't have an enlightening experience. I didn't have an enlightening experience. I just wanted to get out of this goddamn place. What's that? Noticing the bag in her hand, I asked out of curiosity.
Colored paper.
Well, she'll tell us about it anyway. That's good. She took out piles of color paper. The rainbow color really stood out in the depressing gray room. After a few slick movements, she had nimbly made a small paper crane out of it. She moved on to the next paper upon completion, and another one completed less than a minute. A paper crane?
Yes. They buy finished paper cranes from us.
Oh, domestic OEM. I'll probably put like something over here showing my research on what that is, because I don't know what that is right now. I heard some factories will outsource sewing and packaging to housewives and paid for quantity upon completion. Despite the low pay, Many people took such jobs for the convenience and flexible hours. Okay, so it's kind of like a contracting thing of sorts.
I wanted to help him make some money so we could pay for the debt sooner.
That's so sweet. She was still working while talking. It wasn't long before there was a small pile. It didn't appear to be her first time. She must have been doing this for a while. How's the payment? How much each?
800 Taiwan dollars for 1,000.
Oh my god.
More if urgent.
800 per 1,000 cranes. That's less than $1 each. If it took only a minute to make one, it would still take 15 hours. That's less than 100 per hour. That's less than 100 per hourly salary. Less than I expected. That's not much. Isn't this manual labor?
Don't know. They say people don't buy paper cranes anymore. I guess we all prefer new things.
If you were $1,000,000 in debt, even a century would not be enough, let alone the interest. There was no foreseeable hope. No wonder they rather took the risk and kidnapped me. A horse cannot gain weight if not fed with except fodder during the night. A man cannot become wealthy without earnings apart from his regular pay. Illegal methods are really the only option to make money in a short time without capital. Have you tried jobs with better pay, like restaurants?
Big Sis told me to stay away from those.
She interrupted me resentfully, clearly not happy about it. Confused by her reaction, I tried to explain myself, then noticed how she was suppressing her emotion by biting her lips. Restaurant, jobs with better pay. It only took me seconds before I realized what she didn't say. I averted my gaze apologetically. Sorry, I didn't mean to. She quietly lowered her gaze, and her expression did lighten up a little. How much do you owe? I don't know if she knows.
I know that no matter how many I make, it would still not be enough.
Jesus Christ. Guessing what I had in mind, she quietly resumed working.
But this is the only way I could help Big Sis.
She knew this little money was inconsequential. She knew what she was doing was illegal, yet she could only do what she could, even if it was as pointless as filling the ocean with rocks. Do you know the story of the paper crane? I remembered the bedtime story while looking at the paper crane in her hand.
If you fold 1,000 paper cranes, you can make a wish.
So you do know.
Big Sis told me, but it was all a lie. If all it takes is 1,000 paper cranes, everyone wouldn't need to work so hard.
What an unimaginative way to put it, but I guess they didn't have time for a romantic fantasy. How ironic that the dream-fulfilling paper cranes were made by people without them. I observed her face with unease. She didn't appear to have much emotion, just as quiet as a pond in fall. The siblings had such drastically different personalities. In contrast to her big sis's anger, she just accepted it without second word. She cared about her big sis's happiness in her current life more than fairness. I didn't know how to respond, so I changed the subject. If you can have a wish, what would it be?
It would not come true anyway.
That's why I said if. She seemed to take my random question seriously and started to contemplate it seriously.
I want to help the family pay the debt. I hope no one will come for us. I wish Big Sis can find a happier and better job.
Oi, getting a little greedy here.
You asked me to.
God won't listen to you if you ask for too many things, you know. She got interrupted by me and started to smile sadly. A smile more heartbreaking than crying.
Well, they won't come true anyway.
I tried to comfort her, but I couldn't find the word. You're doing a horrible job at comforting her. Uh, it's not even that you can't find the words, it's just you're using all the wrong words. I resented myself for bringing this up in the first place. Looking out the window, it was dusk already, and the sun was almost gone. I wasn't sure if they had any luck with the ransom. The interesting stuff always happens at night. There was quite an assortment of bread. I had hoped I had the bread she had brought back for dinner. I picked the richer looking pork floss combo and it tasted better than I expected. I used to only buy from the bakery that made fresh and organic bread. The price almost doubled, but the taste wasn't really that different. The economic equality used to be just some fancy catchphrase, and I never truly understand the meaning of that till now. It is unfairness in the extreme. Even if giving the same amount of effort, they would never have the same life as me. Not because of my talent, but simply because I was born into a rich family. Some people chose work, study, and were already hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt upon graduation, while others never needed to worry about food or clothes and already had $1 million Taiwan dollars in business capital from their parents. Eventually, these people would compete fairly in the same society. It's ridiculous, really. Yet, there's nothing we can do about it. We are powerless to the system. The world isn't fair. That's why she was this helpless. It was getting dark and there was no news of her big sis. I didn't know if she got the money. I started to worry. While I didn't really think they would pay, but I also hoped this fiasco would end on a peaceful note. If they could get the money, all these thoughts intertwined in my mind. The little just ate the little just ate the various the little just ate various breads quietly, not noticing my thoughts. You like sweets? She moved on the egg tart after finishing the donut, neither of them fitting for a proper meal. She quietly put her hand away like a child that got caught doing naughty things. I like sweets too.
Really?
She looked at me with widening eyes beaming with curiosity. The innocence in her expression made me question her age. She looked like a middle schooler, yet her timid personality and over resilience on her sisters seemed to be more like an elementary school kid. Yeah, I like cookies, cakes, and ice cream.
Chocolate?
Chocolate is nice, but I prefer those things with a higher percentage of cacao. Otherwise, it is too sweet for me. Hmm. Not really understanding it, she just nodded. She paused the work and grabbed a magazine from the book pile and flipped through the pages before putting it before me. It was a professional magazine on desserts. There were photos of famous bakery and detailed analysis on each of them. I could see her notes on some of the pages, including a white chocolate cake that got specially circled. The pure white cake was decorated with berries and covered with cacao powder. The elaborate garnish made it more like an artwork than a pastry.
Have you tried this?
Nope, I seldom try out a particular store. I only visit a few I know about. Sometimes people would give us some as gifts, but I rarely had a taste of those since I didn't visit home frequently. Speaking of which, white chocolate is not actually chocolate.
Why is that?
It is white because there is no cacao powder. Do you know it is made of cacao butter and solid milk? And milk solid? What's solid milk?
Oh,
She tilted her head and blinked a few times out of confusion.
so what's the difference?
Different ingredients. I heard white chocolate is not as healthy.
But it tastes good.
That's for sure. Can't argue with that. The difference between us was never clear. Comparing to my health concern, she cared more about taste. I flipped through the magazine with one hand. There were more pages with notes. Yeah, I recalled myself doing the same thing on a travel guide before a trip. Every stroke of the pen was filled with anticipation. You really want to try them, huh?
She lowered her head, and I heard her response in a tiny voice. Big Sis said she'll bring me there.
I was getting a little tired of her constant mentioning of Big Sis. However, she only had her Big Sis to rely on. She couldn't go to school and had to become independent way before others. It just wasn't fair to call her ignorant. I sighed. My heart always felt heavy when talking to her. Sometimes I'd rather she was angry as her sister. At least I couldn't feel as guilty that way. The magazine was the manifestation of her dream. Desserts, cake, and chocolate. From my perspective, these dreams would never come true. Even if she got the money, I don't think she would be able to bring you on a foodie tour. Don't tell her stuff like that. She looked at me with an expression on the verge of tears. Seeing her depressed expression, I swallowed the words I was about to say and regret the fact that I might have gone too far, because you did go too far. I wanted to let her see the reality, but didn't want to hurt her either. With that said, there could be a chance in the future.
Really?
Yep. I repeated myself to give her confidence. The shaky light in the dark lightened up her young face. She was filled with unease and sadness. She knew what her sister was doing. That very realization was what shaped her suffering. She didn't have a choice. Could she stop her sister and convince her to focus on a proper job? Oh, shoot. Even an adult would not be able to give an answer, let alone a kid like her. She was not to be blamed here. The ones responsible were her parents, her guardian, and even her big sis. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound. She was back. Immediately, there were countless thoughts in my mind, and I realized I had no time to hesitate. The footsteps were getting closer, and my heart beat faster. I clenched and then let go of my hands in the pocket. In the pocket? What? The palms were drenched in sweat. Maybe, just maybe, if she did get the ransom, then it would all be over when she got here. No one would get hurt. They could restart their life, a happy ending like all fairy tales. No matter how unlikely it was, I wanted to believe that slight chance, with my last chance of escape as the wager. A solemn gamble on anything, but this would be the only time I would truly hope to win. The girl entered the room with an icy expression. She had none of her usual cool anymore. Her messy hair spread across her shoulders, and I could see nothing but rage and despair in her eyes. I knew the answer without asking.
Big Sis?
Step aside. The little girl tried nervously to get closer, but only got shoved aside by her big sis, who walked towards me with big steps. Out of nowhere, a kick landed on my stomach and made me curl up in pain. Before I could react, a mirage of punches landed on me.
Big Sis!
Shut up and step aside! The little girl tried to pull her away, but got scared motionless by her big sister's yelling. All of you are the same. All of you! She yelled at me hysterically, as though trying to vent all her rage upon me. I managed to cover my head with my hands, trying to shield my crucial parts. There was blood in my mouth. My body spasmed uncontrollably, and even coughing up gastric juice didn't alleviate the sense of nausea. Every single time. Every time. Every freaking time. I just want a normal life. Why do you have to force me? What do you want from me? The yelling and the crying. The initial burning pain seemed to gradually disappear. All the noise mixed into one everlasting sound in my ear, as though from somewhere far, far away. I naively thought it would work out. I gave up my chance like a coward, believing they would pay. I knew it from the very beginning. I gave up my chance to embrace an unrealistic hope, and here I was.
Big sis, why? You said it would be alright.
As though hearing her sister for the first time, the girl dropped her fists and faced the crying little girl. Her clenched fists were still trembling. Her standing posture appeared extremely lonely.
Don't cry.
I could hear her choking up, and there were tears in her eyes, but she stubbornly refused to let them drop. I won't cry either. She bit her lips and said every single word forcefully. I will not cry no matter what. I already knew it would be like this. I knew no one would believe me no matter what I did. From their perspective, we should all just go to hell. We're just some social problem. We should all just die. Just because we're poor and can't go to school. Why don't they just lock up everyone who has less than 20K in income? Everyone who doesn't have a middle school diploma should just get executed. What do they call us? Backup criminals? Social time bombs? Big sis. Listen to me. No one will believe us, and no one will help us. All we have is ourselves. Got it? It was a declaration and accusation both. A yell straight from her soul's deepest place. She clenched her fist. There were spots of blood on her gloves, and she just laughed, ignoring that. I know. This goddamn world isn't fair. Hearing the familiar words, I finally understood the emotion behind them. It was neither hopelessness nor exception, but rage and struggling against reality. Oh my god. We somehow made it to day 6. Oh my god. Oh my god. I thought we were going to die, especially when that weird message came up. I'll probably have a little flashback to it briefly and zoom in on it or something and post, but I thought we were dead. I thought we somehow got a bad ending. Or a bad ending. One of them. Oh my god, where do you think the story can even go from here? Do you think we're just gonna die? Like, honestly, do you think we're just gonna die? I feel like we will. And like I said, I was worried we might be dead by the end of this episode because our dad would do something stupid, which he did. So, oh my god, we're gonna have to see what happens next episode. I'm actually really excited to see what goes down.
Alrighty, everybody. I want to hear your comments down below. What do you think's gonna happen next?
I really have no clue what's gonna happen next. I can't fathom if we're gonna escape or if we're just gonna keep going like this. I really can't. But I'm sure you guys have more creative and interesting ideas, and I'd love to hear them. And I want to thank you for watching my content. It really does help me out. It means a lot to me that you've made it this far into the video and you've watched this content. I highly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And until next time, you all have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!